Hey everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Today I have something really exciting to share with all of you. I'm going to be playing with the brand new Shimmer Flakes from Scrapbookcom. These beautiful iridescent flakes are the perfect way to add a magical shimmering effect to all of your paper crafting projects. Whether you're making cards, scrapbook pages, or anything in between, these flakes will bring your creations to life in a whole new way. But that's not all. After I show you these shimmer flakes, I'll be unboxing some new goodies from Scrapbook.com. And then I'll walk you through 3 different techniques to use these shimmer flakes so that you can get creative with them in your next project. So let's go ahead and dive in. Scrapbook.com has a total of 10 2-ounce jars of shimmer flakes in various colors. These are ultralight iridescent flakes, and they add a beautiful shimmering effect to your projects. They catch the light at different angles, creating a stunning multicolored effect. You can use them with shaker cards, you can add them to adhesive, and you can even use them as embellishments on cards. They're perfect for adding that extra sparkle and shine to any project. And today I'm going to show you how to use these in 3 fun ways. The jars have a twist-on lid, but you don't have to take off the entire lid when you want to use them because you can see that the top of the lid has 2 openings. One is a shaker opening with small holes that's perfect for sprinkling just the right amount of shimmer flakes onto your cards, and the other is a large opening for easy access to the flakes. This one that I'm showing here is the Bejeweled color, which has different shades of blue. Next, we have the Sunshine. It's a beautiful yellow. There's also the Mermaid. This is so pretty. It's a lighter blue. You also have the Pot of Gold. There's also the Disco Ball. This is the silver. This is the Watermelon, which is a very bright pink. Next, we have Reputation. This is black. This one is the Confetti, which is a light pink. Next is Lucky Charm, which is green. And last but not least is the Unicorn, which is the white. You can get the entire 10-pack in one bundle, or you can purchase each color individually. And I will have links to all of these products in addition to all of these new products that I'm about to show you. They'll be linked down in the description box below. So if you are interested in making a purchase, I always appreciate when you use my affiliate links because it does help support me and my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and dive into these new products. This first stamp set is the Hooray stamp set, and this is a birthday set. It features the large word Hooray. It has a sentiment that says it's your day and happy birthday to you. There are also some layering stamps which feature an ice cream cone and the ice cream that goes on top. There's also a smiley face. There are coordinating dies to this set which I don't have, but I will have them linked in the description box. And I will have a video coming up on my YouTube channel where I make a card with that stamp set. This one is called Special Delivery. It's perfect for a new baby or a baby shower. You have the stork, and then there's lots of sentiments such as oh baby, special delivery, congrats, and then there's some smaller sentiments such as congratulations, let the adventures begin, your laundry is about to get a lot cuter, welcome little one, bundle of joy, what a blessing, and hello sweet baby. I also made a card with this stamp set and I'll be featuring that on my YouTube channel soon. This next stamp set is called Shine Bright. It has the moon and the sun. These are layering stamps. There's also some sentiments. I love that sentiment that says love you to the moon and back. It's so large. There's also Shine Bright Little Star and Reach for the Stars. You can also use this for a graduation card. I love how the stamp set also has some star stamps. You always need those star stamps. I was just looking for some star stamps the other day in my stash, actually. Okay, this next die set is party fans. There are 4 party fan dies, and these are layering dies. You can layer all of them on top of each other. I will be using this for a card today. Next is the present shaker. So you can make a present that is a shaker, but you don't have to use this for a shaker. You can use this to make a present that's not a shaker. I'll be using this in my video today. Next is the balloon alphabet stamp set. So there are balloon letters for each letter of the alphabet. These are the solids. There's also the balloon strings that come at the bottom of that stamp set. There's also the balloon alphabet outlines. So if you want to color them in with your markers, you can use the outline, or you can stamp the outline and color in with your inks using the solid stamps. And they also have the numbers available in the solids and the outline. This next die set is called Greenhouse. There are 21 dies. You have the die for the greenhouse, and then you have all of the greenery. There's also a little watering can, and there are some vases to put some of the flowers in, so you can see what it looks like there. So we already talked about the Shimmer Flakes, so I'm not going to get into those again right now. I want to go ahead and move on to the new adhesive foam. And this adhesive foam is special because it is black adhesive foam. So Scrapbookcom has all of the same adhesive foam in white, and that's what I always use on my YouTube videos. But this is brand new and it is black. So if you're making black cards and you want to add foam to your cards, whether it's to the die cuts to pop them up, maybe you want to pop up some word dies, or even if you're making a shaker card, you now have black foam that will not distract from the black cardstock. And this black foam comes in different sizes and thicknesses. So this large roll that I'm showing here is the 1-inch foam adhesive roll, and it's 1 millimeter in thickness. This next roll is also a 1-inch roll, but it's 2 millimeters in thickness, so just a little bit thicker than the previous one, depending on what you need it for and how much dimension you want to include on your project. So here you can see the top one there is the 1 millimeter and the bottom one is the 2 millimeter. You can see the difference in the thickness. And then the last roll here is the 1-inch, and this is 3 millimeters in height. So again, it's a little bit thicker than the previous 2. Also in the black foam adhesive roll are 3 more, and these are the 1/4 inch foam adhesive rolls. And again, there are 3 of them, just like the previous 3, only these are 1/4 inch, and they also come in the 1 millimeter, the 2 millimeter, and the 3 millimeter. So this one here that I'm showing you is the 3 millimeter. So you can see they're much smaller than the 1-inch. Okay, this one is the 1 millimeter, and then here is the 2 millimeter. So again, I will have all of these linked down below if you are interested in checking these out. Scrapbook.com does have all of these in white as well. So there's also the foam strips, and I think these are my favorite. These are what I always use to make shaker cards, but I use them in the white, and I'm so glad they now have the black. So now if I wanted to make a black shaker card, I have the black foam adhesive that I can put underneath the frames. So these come in strips. I love these strips. Here's the white one, and you can see the difference between the white and the black. These are so thin, they tear easily. So if you're putting these on a frame, you can easily tear them. They come in a pack of 5. And again, they are in the 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and 3 millimeter size. So if you're making a shaker card, it really depends on how high you need your frame. So depending on how thick your shaker elements are, you might want to go with the 3 millimeter in size if your shaker elements are thicker, just so that those shaker elements have more room to move around inside of the frame. And Scrapbook.com also has the adhesive sheets in the black as well. So these are solid sheets. You can cut these or you can use them as is and die cut, let's say, background dies with these so that the background die has more dimension. But these also come in the 1mm, 2mm, and 3mm, and they are adhesive on both sides. They do come in a pack of 5 sheets. Be sure to stay tuned to my channel because I do have a video coming up showing how I use the black adhesive. So let's go ahead and make some cards and learn 3 ways of using these shimmer flakes on your cards. So for my first card, I'll be using the Present Shaker die set, and I'll be using the shimmer flakes inside of this present. So starting out, I took this solid square die and I die cut 2 pieces of white cardstock. And then I'm taking one of those squares and I'm using the square die that has the open center, and I'm centering it on top of one of those square die cut pieces, and I'm going to run this through the die cutting machine. And when this comes out of the die cutting machine, you'll see that it cuts out the center of that square and it creates just the frame part. So this is how you would use that die to make the shaker window. Now this die doesn't have to just be used as a shaker element. You can use this die to make a present that's not a shaker, but if you were using it as a shaker, you would need to cut the center out of one of those squares. Next, I'm going to put some glue on the back of the square frame and I'm going to add it to a piece of acetate. I'm just going to rest an acrylic block over top until that glue sets. Now you could cut your acetate piece out of this solid square die, and that would give you the perfect size piece of acetate that you would need. However, I didn't do that. Instead, I just cut a square piece of acetate and glued the frame onto it. I do have some overhang here, so I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim along the edge of the frame to cut off that excess acetate. On the back side of that frame, I'm going to add some foam strips. These are the Scrapbook.com 2mm foam strips. You're simply going to outline the entire back of that frame with these foam strips. And what I love about these foam strips is that they are the perfect size for the back of the frame, and you can tear them easily with your fingers. So make sure that there are no gaps between the corners of the foam because you don't want any of the shaker pieces to fall out of any open areas. So you can see how all of those corners are connected and there are no gaps. Next, I'm going to fill this frame with some shimmer flakes, and I'm going to start out with the Mermaid Shimmer Flakes. This is the really pretty blue color. I'm going to go ahead and pour some of the shimmer flakes inside of the square. And then I'm also going to be using the Lucky Charm shimmer flakes, which is that green color. These shimmer flakes are so pretty. I love how shiny and sparkly these are. These work so well with shaker cards because you can use one color or multiple different colors to really get a lot of these flakes in there, and a little goes a long way. So I just mixed up the blue and the green, the mermaid and the Lucky Charm, and now I'm going to peel back the adhesive backing off of that foam. And then I'll take my second solid square die cut and I'm going to just flip it over and attach it to the back of the open square. So there is my shaker element. You can see how pretty that is and all of those beautiful shimmer flakes. Next, I'm going to use this large bow die, and I'm using this pastel glossy cardstock from Scrapbook.com. I love how shiny and thick this cardstock is, and the colors are so pretty in the pastel color palette. And I die cut one of the green pieces for the bow, and then I took these two dies and die cut one of the blue pieces of cardstock. And those two dies, one looks like a star shape and one is just a circle. They just layer on top of each other, and then that ends up going right in the center of the bow. And notice that I use the similar color cardstock as I used for the Shimmer Flakes. So I'm trying to stick to this blue and green color palette. And that bow just goes right on top of the square. So I'm going to put glue on the bottom portion of that bow and attach it to the square to make a present. Now this die is so versatile because it's a present. You can really change this up in different colors depending on what the occasion is. So you can use it for birthdays, Christmas or holiday cards, anniversary cards, baby shower, graduation cards, and so many more. So before I move on, I do need to clean up my work surface. So I'm going to be using my Scrapbookcom Crafty Cleanup Cloth. This is a microfiber cloth. They come in black and pink, and I'm just wiping up all of those shimmer flakes, and they do come up pretty easily with this cloth. Now this does come in a roll that has 20 sheets, and you can actually stick these in the washing machine, or you can just throw them away when they get really dirty. So I just want to show you real quick, when you're making a present that's not a shaker, it's super easy to put together. I'm just making the bow right now by layering up those two little pieces and adding it to the center of the bow and then attaching the bow to the square die. This couldn't get any easier. So just think of using this with solid cardstock or pattern paper to really dress up this present. So let's go ahead and finish up this card. I am going to use the Scrapbookcom birthday banners die set, and I'll be using the word celebrate. There's also the words happy birthday. So the dies that I use, you see there in my hand, I use the bottom die to die cut white cardstock, and then this die I die cut out of the blue cardstock as well as out of some of the green cardstock, and that die actually cuts out the letters that you can then glue on to the white die cut that you see there. So I just alternated the cardstock colors between the blue and the green to create the word celebrate. Since I want to pop up this banner on my card, I'm using one of the foam squares from Scrapbook.com. I'm just cutting out the foam square to the size of the banner, and I ran it through my die cutting machine. Now since this foam has double-sided adhesive, I peeled back the backing off of the top of the banner, and I'm just lining up my die cut onto the foam. And then the back side also has adhesive, so I did remove the back of that, and I'll be putting this on my card. So this just gives me some dimension so that it will be popped up on the card front. I will be using this die cut for my card front. This is the Pretty Pink Posh Stitched Torn Rectangle die, and I die cut the largest die. It has a fun torn edge on there with stitching all around, which makes it even more fun. And I just put that banner at the top of it, and I'm snipping off the little tails of that banner. You can see how it's raised up on the card because of the foam. I also used the Celebration Banners die set. I used that die there, and I die cut a piece of the blue and the green cardstock. So 2 pieces of blue and 1 piece of green, and I'm just alternating those to put banners all along this card layer. I'm going to go ahead and glue all of those down. And since some of them extend beyond the edge of that card panel, I'm just snipping off the ends. And then I'm going to add the present to the card panel. Now I do need to add some foam underneath that bow just so that it is flat on the card. So I'm going to take out some more of these foam strips and just add the foam strips behind that bow. This time I'm using the 3mm ones because it is much thicker, and I need that thickness so that it is high enough to rest on the card. So remember, those foam strips, they come in different sizes. They come in a 1mm, 2mm, and 3mm, depending on what you need them for. So I'll go ahead and put glue on the back of the square part of the present, and I have the foam underneath the bow, and I'll go ahead and place that in the center of my card panel. Next, I'm using a piece of blue paper from the Playful paper pad. This blue closely matches the blue in the pastel glossy paper pad, only it's not as thick and it's not shiny. I cut that panel to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I went ahead and put the card panel on top of the blue cardstock, and then I'll add that to my A2 size card base. So the card base is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and that is going to complete my first card. So that's how you use Shimmer Flakes with your shaker cards. I think those are so pretty. Next, we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you how you can create a background using the Shimmer Flakes. For this card, I'm using the Scrapbookcom Bold Basics die. This die measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. It's the size of an A2 card front. Now, I didn't die cut anything yet, but I do have a piece of white cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, the same size as that die, and I'm adding this 6-inch double-sided adhesive tape. This tape is so large, it comes in so many different sizes. This is the largest size, the 6-inch size, but you can get it in much smaller sizes, even as thin as about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just putting this entire 6-inch panel on my card front, just cutting it down and cutting the excess off. Now that the tape is adhered to the panel, we're going to die cut this. So I'm taking my die and I'm placing it so that the decorative part of the die is facing the adhesive backing. And I'm going to use some mint tape to hold this in place, and I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. And when that comes out of the die cutting machine, you can see that it gives you all of these sections, and each of those sections is in a wavy shape. So I just put them in order, and I'm going to do this in rainbow order. So I'm starting with the very top one, and I'm using the watermelon Shimmer Flakes. And I did remove the adhesive backing, and I'm just taking the Shimmer Flakes and I'm rubbing them in to that adhesive. And I'm just rubbing them in really well. Now notice I do have a piece of paper underneath just to catch all of that excess. Now once they're rubbed in and no more adhesive is showing, if you turn it over, you can see that some of those shimmer flakes do extend beyond the edge of the cardstock. So I'm just going to take some scissors and I'm just going to snip off any of the excess shimmer flakes, and you can actually reuse those. So when you clean up this piece of paper with all of that excess, you can put all of that back in the jar. Now I'm just going to turn this over one more time, and I'm just going to rub my fingers over it just to make sure there's nothing loose that is on that piece of cardstock. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to clean up this mess because I'm going to be moving on to another color. And I'm actually going to toss this piece of printer paper, and I'm going to get a brand new piece because notice I wasn't able to get all of those shimmer flakes up, and I don't want to end up mixing colors when I go to the next color. So I'm just going to take out my cleanup cloth and clean up all of these shimmer flakes. I'm also going to clean my scissors with the cleanup cloth, and it does a really good job getting all of the shimmer flakes up. So I want to make sure I have a clean workspace before I move on to the next color, and the next color I'm using is the sunshine color. Now notice that this yellow color, it has a hint of pink in it. So if you look at it, it does have that iridescent quality to it where if you look at it at a different angle, you will see other colors in the shimmer flakes, and this one has the pink and the yellow mixed. Next, I'm on my third strip. So again, I take off the adhesive backing and I'm rubbing in the Lucky Charm shimmer flakes. Again, just rub it in with your finger until all of that adhesive is not sticky anymore, and then make sure you trim off any excess that extends beyond the edges. The next color I'm using is the Mermaid. This is the blue color. This one has a hint of purple, almost like a purplish pink. It's so pretty. I could totally see this being used with shaker cards that involve like under the sea type of cards, like when if you have like mermaids and fish and all of that under the sea. I think that would be really pretty to use that mermaid one. Okay, this next one is the Bejeweled. This is the darker blue, and again, this has some purple and pinkish colors to it. Really, really pretty. So as I'm finishing up these last two, just want to give you another idea of how you can use this on a card. So let's say you wanted to have a glitter border all around your card panel. You can take a piece of the 1/8 inch tape or even a 1/4 inch double-sided tape, put it around the edge of your card panel and rub these shimmer flakes into it, and that would give you a really pretty glitter edge to your card panel. And then you could just take another smaller piece of cardstock to layer over top to cover up any of the rough edges. So that's another option. So here I just have a piece of cardstock. It's just white cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. And I'm gluing all of these panels onto that cardstock. You can see how they all fit perfectly in place. Such a pretty background. Now I'm not done yet. I want to make sure that these shimmer flakes are sealed so that if I rub my hand over it, none of these shimmer flakes are going to fall off. So I have this Pops of Color. This is the clear Pops of Color, and I'm just going to put some over the top of this panel. And then I'm going to take a paintbrush and I'm just going to rub this in. So I'm just going over it and just painting it on to this background, and this is just going to seal all of these shimmer flakes into this card panel. Now this will need to dry before you do anything else with this card panel. So you will have to let it sit and dry and just let it dry flat, and then once it's dry it's going to be hard and it's going to be really shiny. So if you thought this was shiny already, it's going to be even more shiny once this dries. I did let this sit probably for about an hour while I worked on another card, and here is what it looks like once it's dry. So I'm just going to make sure I don't have any more of the flakes that are extending beyond the edges, and I have a few here, so I'm just going to snip off the ends. But look how pretty this is, and I wish you could feel this because it's actually really smooth, and these shimmer flakes are not going anywhere. They're all sealed in. So if you wanted to add a sentiment to this, you can do that, but I am going to step this up a notch, and I'm bringing in this really pretty background die from Pretty Pink Posh. This is the butterfly cover plate. I have a piece of white cardstock that I'm going to die cut this cover plate with. This die is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and so is my piece of cardstock. I am using the Scrapbookcom mixed media paper pad. It's a nice thick white cardstock. And when that comes out of the die cutting machine, it cuts out all of these beautiful butterflies. If you wanted to add some ink to them and pop them back into the card panel, you can, or if you wanted to use them on another card, you can do that as well. You can see all of the detail on these butterflies. There's lots of stitching, and there's some that even have holes that can be poked out. So you can, if you put a piece of cardstock behind it, you can see through those holes. This die is so pretty, but I'm not going to be using those butterflies today. Instead, I'm just going to be using the panel that I die cut, and I have those open windows for the butterflies, and when you put that right over top of that card panel, it just makes that look so pretty. Now, I am going to be adding some foam strips to the back because I want this popped up on the card panel. Now, if you wanted to use this cover plate as a shaker window, you can do that. You would just add some acetate behind it and then put your foam. But I'm not doing that today because I don't want to take away from that beautiful background that I just created. So I'm removing the double-sided backing from those adhesive strips, but I'm also going to add some glue because I want to make sure this really sticks to the card front. Because I have all of those shimmer flakes on that card panel, I just didn't want to take a chance with it not sticking as well, so I just added some glue to the foam. And then I added the background die of the butterflies to the card panel. And now I'm going to add a sentiment, and I use the Pretty Pink Posh sentiment strips for birthday stamp set. I stamped out the sentiment "Enjoy Your Day" and die cut it with the coordinating dies, and I popped this up on foam and I'm adding it to the top center of the card. And I did add this to an A2 size card base. I love how this card turned out. I love all that sparkle. Okay, so for my next technique, I'll be using the Shimmer Flakes just to add a little bit of embellishment to the finished card. And I'm using the Party Fan dies from Scrapbookcom. And I'm using the 3 smaller dies. I did not use the largest one. You can see that when these are die cut, they have an embossed design on the front of the Party Fan. And I'm just taking some ink and inking up the top so that the embossed design shows up a little bit better. This card is going to be very bright. I used some of the paper in the Sprinkles paper pad from Scrapbookcom to die cut several different colors. And I'm using Catherine Pooler inks and a finger dauber just to lightly put some ink over the top of those party fans. I will have all the inks that I've used down in the description box if you want to know what inks they are. For the card panel, I'm using a piece of pattern paper from the Hooray paper pad. This is a fun birthday or celebration paper pad, and I'm using this one that has the colorful dots. It has a lot of the same colors in it that I used for the party fans. So you can see how these dies layer. Now if you wanted to, you can also add some foam to the back to even pop them up and give them more dimension. So I'm going to do that with this smaller one. I didn't do it for the medium size one, but I am going to for the smaller one, and you can see how it just elevates the design. So I went ahead and placed these party fans where I want them on my card panel. My card panel is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and they're going to extend off the edge of this card panel, and I will be cutting off the excess cardstock. Since I had all of the smaller party fans popped up, I went ahead and die cut another purple one and popped that up because I didn't want that one to be the only flat one on the card. Okay, now it's time to add the sentiment, and for the sentiment I am using the Scrapbookcom Birthday Celebrations 2 dies. I have the word celebrate here. I die cut out of the orange cardstock, backed it up on white, and added it in the lower right hand corner of my card. Next I'm going to add this to a card base, and now I'm ready to add my embellishments. So before I add my shimmer flakes, I am going to add a white dot in the middle of each one of the smaller party fans. I'm using the Spellbinders black and white dimensional dots. I just added a white one in the center. And then I'm going to bring out my shimmer flakes, and this time I'm using the pot of gold. And I'm also bringing out my pops of color in the clear gloss, and I'm adding a little bit of the clear gloss pops of color to my paintbrush. I added the pops of color on the paintbrush to the party fans, and then I'm just sprinkling on with my fingers just some of the gold shimmer flakes. I'm just moving them around just so that they have a balanced look on each one of the party fans. You can even take your paintbrush and dip it into the jar to grab some onto the paintbrush. However you want to do it, but you can see how it's just going to add all of those pretty flakes right to the front of the card. So I'm going to add the pot of gold shimmer flakes to all of those party fans. Once I'm finished, I'm going to take a paper towel and just get all of the remaining shimmer flakes off of my paintbrush. And now that I have a clean paintbrush to use again, I'm going to just paint on some more of the pops of color, just so that I can seal these in so that they don't go anywhere. These will need to dry, and these shimmer flakes are not going anywhere. They are stuck to the card. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how to use Scrapbook.com's Shimmer Flakes in 3 fun techniques. Remember, if you are interested in purchasing any of these products, check the links in the description box below this video. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, so you never miss out on more crafty ideas and inspiration. If you try any of these techniques, be sure to tag me at Lisa Mears Designs and Scrapbook.com because I'd love to see what you create. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.